So welcome to another exciting episode of LA Fishguys. You're probably wondering, what the hell's the fish guy doing in all that snow? Well, we're actually here in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. We're opening up new horizons and new opportunities for us, and we've come here to build a 280-gallon Coral Reef Tank. And I gotta be honest, I haven't been in the snow for probably 30 years. And so you can see, I'm really not prepared for it, but we're here having a whole lot of fun, doing what we enjoy. So come with us, I'm gonna show you how we're gonna finish up this big 280-gallon Coral Reef Tank. We've got the basic filter system in. As I mentioned, this is a Berlin style filter. The idea behind a Berlin filter is there's no intended or dedicated biological section. It's like an open sump, and it really just serves for the protein skimmer, but there's a few other things that we can do within that sump itself, such as bags of activated carbon, bags of phosphate removing media, possibly nitrate removing media. If you wanted to, you could put pieces of live rock in there. We've got a large protein skimmer. This is also where we're going to place the probes for the aquarium computer. That'll be pH, salinity, temperature, ORP, which is oxidation reduction potential, basically the water's ability to break down organic compounds. We're also going to place the heaters down in here. So this is where a lot of that equipment that you don't want to see in the tank itself can be placed. It's also the area where the fluctuation of water will occur, because the water level up in the tank is always going to be at the same point. As evaporation occurs or you physically remove water, the fluctuation will occur down here. This Berlin style filter or open sump also serves as a place where we can keep those micron socks back here for polishing the water. It's also a place where we'll position the aquarium heaters. Okay, let me go through this filter system with you. Water will exit the tank via the internal overflow, which is that box in the tank with the teeth at the top of it. It requires the water in the tank to rise up to the top of that box and then spill into those teeth. Again, this is called an internal overflow. And through the bottom of that, through a bulkhead, which is not in place at the moment, that flexible drain line will carry the water from the tank over here to the top of the Euro-style sump into these micron socks. They will trap out fine particles, and the balance of the water will pass through that sock. They begin to fill up here in this Euro-style sump. And at the opposing end of the sump, the water is drawn out by this Iwaki pump, an Iwaki 40. And then that in turn is going to send the water partially to the protein skimmer via this T and that ball valve there. And then the balance of the water will ultimately end up going back to the tank, but it's got to go up to the refrigeration unit. And at this point, it appears as though we're going to place that refrigeration unit on a shelf up in that top corner, and then we'll duct the heat, probably over to that vent, which has an additional air assist in it, because the chiller would not be strong enough to push the hot air that far by itself. So the water will go into the chiller, which in turn will control the temperature of the water. Now, back down here in the sump is our protein skimmer. It's a Euro Reef skimmer, and as I mentioned, a portion of that water will come off that T into the side of the skimmer there, and that's the supply source. It'll fill up that skimmer, and then here is an Eheim hobby pump. Might be easier to see. I'm going to come around to this side. So the water will come into the skimmer, again from the T, fill up the skimmer, and this Eheim hobby pump will suck up some of that water off the bottom of the skimmer, bring it up into the pump where there's probably a needle wheel, which in turn is the mechanism that's going to generate the air bubbles, the very fine air bubbles that'll be blown into the protein skimmer itself. So this pump here serves to do nothing more than circulate water within the protein skimmer. The protein skimmer will fill up with water. Here's the collection cup, and then over here is the telescopic exhaust tube, and then the drain line that'll bring the water back. Now there is a ball valve there, and that ball valve will be used to regulate the foam level in the protein skimmer itself, and that's a pretty good sized cup. So it should hopefully ultimately drive out an abundance of debris. And back here once again is the Iwaki pump. You see there is an inline probe, and if I recall right, I think that's either for salinity or possibly pH. I'll have to sit down and go back through and read the notes and such, but this is the pump that will drive the filter. So this we'll call the filter circulation pump, whereas that pump, which is now buried back in that corner that we installed earlier, is the circulation pump. So it's a two-pump system. One that moves water from the tank to the filter back to the tank, the other one that draws water from the tank and returns that water directly back to the tank. That's called internal circulation. So that's our basic filter system. Again, it's a Berlin-style filter. No dedicated biological. The biological filtration will occur via all that live rock that's in the tank. And the idea, a wet-dry trickle filter being a very effective biological filter, is almost too effective. So we're going to, I hate to say decrease its effectiveness, but we'll select a means that is not as capable of ultimately producing nitrate or nutrients. We want to slow that process down a little bit. Now, since we've got the basic filter system and circulation system in there, we're going to go ahead and start installing some of the accessories, such as the calcium reactor and the aquarium computer, and then we also have to work on the chiller itself. So let's see how much further we can get this evening. This will be day number 2, and it's probably getting close to 7 o'clock, so we've worked a good 10-hour day so far, and I'm very pleased with what we've got accomplished. As I mentioned earlier, that's the canopy, which is currently sitting upside down, and that needs to be sealed on its inside and then finished on its outside. I don't think we're going to get water in this system running before I leave tomorrow, but we're going to get as far along as possible, and then we've already been invited back for a second visit, and not sure when that'll be. It may be end of January, middle of February, and I think it'll be coordinated with the live rock that I'll have shipped here. So let's go ahead and start getting that calcium reactor installed.
So we've now completed not only the filter circulation, but the internal circulation aspects of the aquarium. It's now time to start adding those accessories. In this case, it'll be the calcium reactor along with the CO2 bottle. We've also got that aquarium computer, but I'll be honest, I don't have the instructions to set it up yet, so we'll have to do that on the next trip.